We are on this wonderful sunny morning on a Sunday where we are here to be able to be together and to sit and to pray and to be part of a wonderful community here at Unity of Tacoma. My name is Reverend Lori Irwin Johnson, and I use the pronoun she and her. And so I'm so glad if this is your first time joining us, welcome. I'm so glad you decided to tune in today or join us here in the church. Or if you've been here before and you decided to return, I'm so glad you did decide to return. We're so happy to have you each and every time you visit. So thank you for being here. Today we have a different service. Last week we had a different service where it was all music oriented. We were completely music happy. We had lots of music. We had a Tazea service. It was beautiful, and we thank Matt and Becky for doing that and putting that on. That was so much fun. If you were here or if you tuned in last week, you know that it was just such a contemplative service, and we appreciate that and appreciate them. Today we are not having any music today. Unfortunately, our musician is sick. So I'd like you to hold Stefan in your prayers, Stefan Plummer, as she recovers and gets back to her full health. We're going to continue on with our discussion today of the book by Deepak Chopra, Abundance. And we are covering the chakras. If you've tuned in last week or the last couple of weeks, we have talked about the chakra system and how it is that we use the chakras to enlighten and to also ignite that creative energy within ourselves. And so it's really exciting. It's been a great book. I was going to conclude it today with the last 3 chakras, but I decided to focus on one specific chakra. That would be the third one, and that is the solar plexus chakra, or the one for your personal empowerment. So we're going to talk about that today. But first, before we go into our wonderful message and service, I would like you to say the prayer of protection for me. If you know the words, please say the prayer with me. The words are in the back if you do not have them. And also, you can online just watch your screen and say it with me. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. And wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And let's just take a breath and get centered, allowing us to feel the surface we are sitting on, knowing that we are safe and protected, supported and whole. And as we feel ourselves in this state of support and health and wholeness, we bring to mind those that need support and health and wholeness today. We bring to mind Stefan as she works towards her own health and wholeness and healing herself and bringing herself back to where she was before and even better. We hold the people in Hawaii as they struggle with what's happening with the wildfires there on the multiple islands and the homelessness that's happening and the casualties and all of the people that are affected, and we just hold everyone in love and light, knowing that right now it seems bleak and it seems dark, but we know that there's always light behind each and every dark cloud. So please, as we hold them in our hearts and our minds, let's just lift them up and allow the light to shine. We're so grateful for each and every time we get together. It's a time for us to focus on our own empowerment, to be able to look at and to examine how we are moving through this world and are we reaching our full potentials. And today we're going to focus on that, looking at what it is that we need to focus on, to what it is that we need to do to start that spark that ignites the fire within us. And so as we sit here in gratitude, thankful for all that we have and all the people that we know, all the people that are in a space of light and love, we gather with them, we share our light with them so we can become beacons in the world. Again, with gratitude, we're so thankful for everything that we have, and so it is. Amen. Thank you for each and every one of you for being here and being part of that prayer. Every time we say a prayer for ourselves, again, we ignite our own light. And as we ignite our own lights, then we become this large beacon that reaches everyone in the world when we come together as community. And that's what Sundays are for. It's to be able to bring our individual lights together so we become brighter and we feed off of each other as well as feed each other. So this is a wonderful opportunity. Today, again, I'm going to be talking about the chakra system, but this time we're going to focus on the third chakra. Do you know where the third chakra is? The third chakra is the solar plexus, so right here above the navel. And this is our seat of power. This is where power comes from. So we're going to talk about empowerment from the aspect and the point of view of flow. And so I will first share with you our affirmation for today. I really like this TED Talk idea. You know, I'm just talking and you're hearing. So we're going to do the Unity at Tacoma TED Talk today. But our affirmation for today is, I am empowered to bring my highest good into expression. Let's say that together. I will say it and you can say it after me. I am empowered to bring my highest good into expression. One more time with feeling. I am empowered to bring my highest good into expression. And our reading for today is from Deepak Chopra's book Abundance, and he talks about the third chakra. And he talks about being in the zone. There is a specific set of conditions telling you that you are acting from the power chakra. That would be here, right here in the solar plexus. These are well known in sports competition, and you've probably heard about it as being in the zone. How many of you have heard about that, being in the zone? When a football player is in the zone, every pass is completed. Not in the ordinary way, but as if it were happening on its own. The same is true of a golfer who lands a hole-in-one from 150 yards away. All the effort, practice, tension, and adrenaline that crowd into a competitive sport vanish, to be replaced by a completely different set of experiences. Being in the zone isn't unique to sports, or the aim in this book is to make it a normal experience. You have almost certainly glimpsed how it feels to be in the zone without calling it that. The experience has the following elements. You are certain that you will succeed. You feel calm inside, but also wide awake and alert. All obstacles disappear. You feel a tingling energy in your body, and you experience lightness of being. The action seems to be happening on its own accord, and time is likely to slow down or even seem to stop. You feel carefree and you feel joyful. These elements might seem alien to everyday life, but for most of us, they were experienced under special circumstances. Falling in love. A wide receiver catching a long spiral pass in football doesn't seem like Romeo rhapsodizing under Juliet's balcony. But they are linked by bliss consciousness. We are so used to separating in here and out there that a lover's ecstasy seems totally different from a football all-star leaping for that ball. But in reality, there is only one power zone. Whether we experience it in here or out there, an infatuated lover occupies the zone as much as a professional athlete. Unfortunately, everyone has more experience being out of the zone. The fact that we are so used to obstacles, setbacks, and failures testifies to creative intelligence getting blocked. There is a disconnect between what you really want and what you actually get. This has to change. Being in the zone is meant to be normal. All it requires is that the third chakra be open, allowing creative intelligence to flow through it. As we'll see, unblocking the third chakra happens through a shift in awareness, which is always possible. Yay! Yeah, let's do this. Our spiritual lesson is from the Dhammapada 21:1. If by giving up limited pleasures one sees far-reaching happiness, the wise one leaves aside limited pleasures, looking to far-reaching happiness. If you're unfamiliar with that, that's a Buddhist scripture. So when I was an undergraduate in school, when I went to school as an adult, I went to college right away after high school, but I also stopped for a while, and I had a family, got married, had a family, and I started work. And so I worked for, good 10 years before I went back to college. But when you go back to college, you have to choose a major. And so I had already been working in business for over 10 years, so it was a no-brainer for me to go into college as a business student. I was just like, of course I'm going into business. I've always done business, that's what I do, and so I'm going to do that. Well, the thing that was the catalyst for me to going to school in the first place was the fact that my dad passed away, and he passed away much earlier than he thought he would. In fact, he was one of those guys that always did what he needed to do. He went to work, he did everything that he needed to do to support his family, but he certainly wasn't doing something he enjoyed. You go to work, you do your thing, you come home, and then you do it again tomorrow. That's what's his life. And it was always about, at some point when I retire, I'm going to do exactly what I want to do. Unfortunately, he didn't make it to retirement. And so he didn't know really, and I don't know what it was that he could have done, because he didn't know what his passion really was. He never got a chance to really explore that. So when it came time for me to choose a major in college, and I'd lost my dad, and I was going through Unity practices at the time and was attending Unity, and I was like, I am going to do what I think is my passion, where my passion lies. I'm going to take this leap of faith. I'm going to move forward with intention, and I'm going to hold on to that light and that hope that I am going to be where I want to be. And so I went into behavioral science instead. Now, at the time, I didn't know what I would do with it. I didn't really want to become a counselor. I didn't really want to do that. I did like the science behind it, so maybe research, and I think that's where my teachers thought I would go into research and become a professor somewhere. And but I went into behavioral science, and I am so glad that I did, because it's a passion of mine. It's something that I still, to this day, even though I don't really work in that field here, I do use it a lot in other places in my world, in my other job. And so I really enjoy behavioral science, and it was a passion. It was something that I wanted to pursue. So today, they have a full-fledged degree focused on what they call positive psychology. Have you heard of that term, positive psychology? Well, psychology prior to this focus was all about abnormal psychology, what it is that people suffer from when they have abnormal psychology, so all of the difficulties that people experience. But after one of the psychologists, Martin Seligman, he identified learned helplessness is what happens when you're bombarded with stress and then all you do is just collapse. There's nothing else you can do. And you learn that that's your behavior. That becomes part of who you are. He learned about that. He also turned around and said, if you can go that low, there's got to be a way to study how to go the other way. How can you get into an optimal experience? So he wrote a book on happiness in the 80s, or the early 90s. And so he wrote a book about happiness. So I got really interested in positive psychology. But like I said, they didn't have that focus when I was in school. So now they have a degree program, and it's wonderful. And if I were going to school today, I would have taken that. But they didn't have that then. I had to do it on my own. I had to really try to hone in on this new modality of positive psychology. And there were other people, too, that I was drawn to, and we were talking about this last week when Victoria was talking about Abraham Maslow. I was really into that and about his hierarchy of needs. I was also into Carl Jung, and I really loved Carl Rogers and his person-centered therapy. So all of that, I really focused on what it meant to have a positive experience, a peak experience, an optimal experience. And so one of the other psychologists who recently passed away, his name, and I'm going to say this, and I'm only going to say it one time, and then I'm going to abbreviate it because it's really super hard to say. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi is his name. Was his name, and he was a wonderful guy, and he was a prisoner of war in World War II, and a lot of psychologists came out of that, and so he came into the world wondering what it would be like to experience or to have the optimal experience. So he started studying, and he paired up with Martin Seligman, the guy with her learned helplessness, and also started to learn about happiness. And they created this wonderful modality of positive psychology. So the interesting thing about Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, I said I wouldn't say that twice. I'm going to call him Mike C, because that's what he was called at the university he worked at. So Dr. Mike C from now on in my talk. So I don't have to struggle with his name anymore. So he identified what we know of today as flow. Have you heard that term, flow? When you get in the flow? He coined that term in the 80s, and then he wrote a book in the 90s, in 1990, called Flow, The Psychology of Optimal Experience, Steps Towards Enhancing the Quality of Life. And he, in essence, created the awareness of being in flow in our everyday consciousness. Now we know that is a thing. You know, we're going to get in the flow, or we're just going with the flow, or whatever. That is something that he coined. But in the book, Deepak Chopra uses the zone instead of the flow. Even though the zone, when you're talking about a person in sports being in the zone, it's the same as an individual being in flow. It's that space of peak and optimal experience. And so Deepak Chopra talks about it in the book as the zone. So when I talk about flow, I'm also talking about being in the zone, like he talks about in the book. So in Dr. Mike C's book on flow, he indicates that happiness is not a destination. It's not something like we're retiring in a sunny state, you know, like Florida or Arizona. It's not a destination to end up in, right? Happiness is actually a state of being. It's an emotion that is transient, and it moves, and it has an ebbs and flow about it. We can go and be happy, but it's not like any other emotion. We don't stay there. We have to feel all of the emotions. So happiness is a state of being to continually to strive for, and you reach at multiple times. You don't just get there and you stay there. Can you imagine only seeing the color red, for example, and that's all you saw? All you wanted to do your entire life is see the color red every day, all day. And then think about that after a week. All you saw was red. Can you imagine if we were happy all the time? That would be great at first, right? But there's no deviation. There's nothing novel. Our brains would get so bored, we wouldn't be able to deal with that. So we're really looking for happiness as being something that we continue to strive for. So it's something that we continue to experience instead of getting there and then realizing that this is boring. Happiness is boring. Can you imagine? It wouldn't be fun if I didn't get excited about, you know, something, or if my husband didn't get angry at a football game. You know, I mean, everything would be so shallow and so empty. And he talks about, and Dr. Mike C talks about, the most enjoyable activities are not natural, that they demand an effort that initially one is reluctant to make. But once the interaction starts to provide feedback to the person's skills, it usually begins to be intrinsically rewarding. So he's saying that at first it may seem hard and it seems awkward when we start to do something that is different or novel. So let's talk about your passion. And you all got a card. Did you get a card, Cheryl? Okay. Everybody got a card, and you should have had a pen. I want you, unless you want it, you can do it with your magic finger. I want you to write down, and those of you at home too, please grab a piece of paper and a pen. And I would like you to write down what one thing, because many of us have many passions, but I would like you to write down one or two of your passions in life. What is it that you're really passionate about? Not the things that somebody told you that you should be doing, or things that somebody you grew up doing and it was like, okay, my parents made me do this, so now I'm doing this now. I want it to be something that's your passion. What is it that you're passionate about? And I want you to write it down on that piece of paper, because we're going to use it during our meditation today. Now, when you start to do something and make your passion part of your life, it may seem weird or awkward if you haven't been engaging in it, if you haven't been doing it on a regular basis. You know, life gets in the way. We're so busy with other things that how can we make our passions a focus in our lives? Well, the thing is that isn't that the point of why we're here? We're supposed to be able to move through this life and contribute to the world with the passion of our creativity and our empowerment. This is why we're here. We're not here to be passive. And he talks about that, the passive activities do not create that flow experience. It doesn't create that space of being enlightened or uplifted. Sometimes you can be sitting there, and this is what Abraham Maslow talked about in peak experiences. Sometimes you can be walking through nature and have that wonderful peak experience, but they're so fleeting, and they don't last very long. Dr. Mike C. is saying, yes, you can create these experiences by getting into a flow state, by allowing yourself to focus on what it is that you're passionate about. So I want you to look at that thing that you're passionate about on your piece of paper. That's something that you do. Think about it now. Do you engage in that in your life today? How many of you do that on a regular basis? Excellent. I'd like to hear that. So what happens? Have you experienced a flow state? And I will help you get there. He said that the best moments in our lives are where we're receptive, where we're relaxing, where we do the things that we're passionate about. And I want you to envision, close your eyes right now, and envision last time you were doing this passion, when you were involved in this. Think about how that made you feel. What was happening then? Were you happy in that definition of happy? And does it bring you happiness each and every time? Because again, happiness is a fleeting emotion just like every other. But the wonderful thing about flow states is you can use them as tools to get to that space of happiness. So instead of happiness being that place you end up, it's a place you continue to visit. It's some place that brings you joy every time you're there. He said, Mike C. said, flow is a state in which people are so involved in an activity that nothing else seems to matter. The experience is so enjoyable that people will continue to do it even at a great cost for the sheer sake of doing it in the first place. And there are 8 different characteristics that happen when you're in this flow state. And I want you to write these down. Number 1, you're completely concentrating on the task that you're on. What are you doing? You're completely engrossed in it. Number 2, you have clear goals. And you know that you're rewarded each and every time you reach a goal. And not big major goals. I'm talking about the little tiny ones that get you on the step towards the next phase of your journey. Because it's not, you ever hear that saying, it's not the destination, it's the journey? It is the journey. It's those little tiny experiences that you have that put you in those peak flow states that bring you true happiness. Number 3, it transforms time. So it either speeds it up or slows it down. How many times have you been into doing whatever it is you're passionate about, and you start when the sun is up and you look up again and it's dark outside? That has happened to me so many times. It used to happen with sewing, and we were just having this conversation. Used to love to sew. But I would start, and then it would be light out, and then a couple hours later I'd look out and it's dark outside. So I'd really get into that phase of just being totally engrossed. That is a flow state. The experience is rewarding, not because it's rewarding or you're getting it from outside of yourself. It is personally, intrinsically rewarding. You are giving it to yourself, and you continue to reward yourself. You don't look outside yourself for that. That is something that comes from you. It is completely effortless. It is easy. So it seems to come to you naturally. And there is a balance between challenge and skill. So it has to have just enough challenge for you to continue to move forward, but you have to be skillful enough to get to that next level. So let's say you're playing an instrument and you're trying to learn a new piece, and you have the skill, but it's a challenging piece to play. So that is when you get into that flow state, when you're working towards and you know you can get there. You have the skill, you have the ability, you just need to learn that. Actions and awareness are merged. So you're kind of lost in the moment. So you're moving around and you're doing what you need to do, but you're not aware of it. Your conscious awareness doesn't need to be there. Your body moves on its own. It is doing what it's doing. You are in that groove. And so that conscious awareness, you kind of get lost. You get started. How many times have you started a task or driving down the road, for example? Let's use that example. You're driving down the road and you're thinking about something else, and you get to your destination without thought. That's because you can do that. The brain can do that. So you get lost in your thought, lost in your task, and there is nothing that's taking it away. Finally, you have complete control over this. This is something that you do. You do not rely on anyone else to get you to this space. So I'll use my son as an analogy, and he loves it when I do this, and I always tell him I use it, so it's fine. My son Richard was an athlete in college. He was an athlete throughout his entire school experience, and he was totally driven to do what it was that he did. He completely got lost in his zone, and he was there, but he felt that he had complete control over what was happening and the outcome, and he was very successful out of it. So when you get into that space of knowing that you are confident that this is my area, this is my expertise, I know that I can do this, then that is being in the zone. So how many times has this happened to you? Have you had this happen to you recently? Raise your hand. Excellent. That's good. And that your awareness is really important to that, because even though you may not have had it recently, or you're aware that you had it recently, you probably did. So the thing is that you need to become more aware. Abraham Maslow would say in his idea of peak experiences that most people have these experiences, they just aren't aware. So I'd like you to think back to an experience recently where you were feeling happy or maybe just a little bit better than usual. What was happening? Were you having an experience that might have been a flow state or the beginning of one? So remember that this is your place of empowerment. And this is what Deepak Chopra was talking about. He explains about that third chakra being that space of personal empowerment. And when you're in the flow of life, when you're activating all of those things to be able to lost in the moment with that thing that you're so skilled at, that is where that creative intelligence that we at Unity call source or universal energy or divine whatever your word is for that in the book they calls it creative intelligence, when it allows you, that flow to go through you, to be able to use you as the instrument for the task that's at hand. So whenever you say let go, let God, that is the flow moment is letting go and let God. You allow that energy to flow through you and as you, and you become part of in the moment. So we here at Unity talk about that as source, divine substance. We talk about universal energy or God, whatever it is you would like to call it. And Eric Butterworth talked about it in his book, In the Flow of Life. And he talks about flow as being a vehicle that connects us to that divine source. So not only are we engaged in this passion that we have in life, the passion is actually driven by this divine source of creative intelligence. So he says doesn't come from the religions that we have. It doesn't come from the things that come from outside of us. It is a thing that we create and cultivate within us. He says, Eric Butterworth says, one point to get clear in mind in the very beginning of any study of truth is what he calls universal energy. Truth is not just words or affirmations or books or teachings. Truth is a universal flow that can only be vaguely caught in the web of human consciousness. Theology, whether traditional or metaphysical, tends to crystallize truth and thus obstruct the flow. So when we get too stuck in the idea of how it should go, if we're using we use the tools here at Unity, or we use the tools at whatever faith that we have, or whatever secular ideas like mindfulness or whatever you're using, if you get too stuck in that, you sometimes lose the opportunity to go deeper into your experience. So using them as a tool, but they are not necessarily the rules. And he talks about that. It tends to crystallize and get stuck. So you don't want to stop that flow from flowing through you. You want to be able to allow these to as tools to be able to get there. But if you feel that your body is moving in another direction, allow it to go there. He says, it is as if we consider an empty fist as containing something real, and a pointing finger as the object pointed at. And if we point at the moon and then revere the finger as if it were the moon, we have lost the idea. Truth's words, even the great utterances of master teachers, simply point to the reality of the universe that can only be experienced firsthand as they flow from within ourselves. Truth is within ourselves. That creative energy comes through us from within. It is not something we have to seek outside. All we have to do is go within. It is a transient experience that you have to go within to meet. It's not really even creating. You just need to be allowing that energy to flow through you. So in secular and spiritual traditions both, whether it be psychology or any kind of religion that your experience is, it tries to explain how this flow energy works. When we talk about the Christ consciousness, we talk about that. We're talking about how we're allowing that to live through us and as us. And Deepak Chopra is explaining throughout the book that this truth or creative intelligence is where the chakras come in alignment. When they're opened up, we allow that energy to flow through us. And so when it gets to that point, when we're doing our meditation today, we're going to be opening up the chakras so we can open each and every one of them up, so we can allow that flow to flow through us. And when we get to that power chakra, that's that chakra right here at the solar plexus, and it's a power that we create. You can think of it as an energy, like a battery almost. We create. It comes in, we have that the juice that's there, all of the circulation of all the things that create the battery, allow the battery to work, but we plug into that. And that is something that we have. It's always there, and it never runs out. We can always tap into that chakra. And when we are thinking of something that we created, and when we need to get to that point of empowerment, where we need to feel the flow moving through us and as us, we bring to mind the things that you just wrote on your piece of paper. What is it that you do? What is it that you've done? That's your personal empowerment. That's your power. That's your skill. That's who you are. That's who you are, and that makes you who you are in this experience, in this incarnation. The passions that drive you from one thing to the next, the things that keep you going and get you up in the morning, those are the passions you want to hold on to. So now I want you to ask yourself, what is my passion? Where do I find that I am so engrossed in an experience that I lose track of space and time? Are my goals, my tiny goals, in alignment with this passion? And am I rewarding myself each and every time I get to that space? Am I allowing myself to experience the joy of reaching that milestone? How much power do I have to create? this thing that I am passionate about. Because I know I have the skill, I have the ability, and I have complete control over what's happening in my own self and with the energy that's within. So there's not anything I can't do. So are you in alignment with that? And are those intentions of being in alignment with that and being attention and conscious of that, are you there every day? Have you taken the time each and every day to align yourself with your passion and to get into the flow of your life? These are the questions that I wrestled with when I was trying to make a decision as to what I wanted to do in school. And every single step since then has been a step of moving forward in faith. And not every time has been with confidence either. Sometimes you take the step and you're like, oh my gosh. You take that step, is there a step below me that's going to catch me when I'm moving down the staircase? Absolutely. You sometimes just that leap of faith. And every time I've taken the leap of faith based on my passions in life, I've always ended up where I wanted to be. So remember that when you are in your zone, when you are in your flow, when you are living your passions, you are igniting that power within you. That is the key to allowing that light to get brighter within. You can experience it passively, but it's not as powerful as if you work within and from that flow state. When you're in the zone, when you're focused on that, you have to continue to reinforce it every day. Just like anything else that you want to continue, any kind of skill that you want to create or get better at, you need to reinforce it. I had to reinforce it. I had to reinforce it each and every day, and I still reinforce it every day. And if I don't get reinforcement, I go to my husband, and he says, you know what you need to do. I'm reminded by the voice of God speaking through someone else that says, you know what you need to do. And that's sometimes frustrating when you're going to somebody for advice, right? You want somebody to say, hey, this is what you need to do. But that's not where your truth comes from. That's not your truth, that's their truth. Where does your power and your truth lie? That comes from within. And being within that flow state, being in the zone as often as you can, taking the opportunities, being intentional about being there is what makes you the person that you are, moving forward in a positive and evolutionary way. And so stay in that zone. Use that solar plexus, that space right here where that battery of energy is that brings out your passion in life, and allow you to be part of this wonderful dance of life where each of us have a skill that we can share. And this skill is our passion. We're here to provide that. If we all did the same thing, again, would we really get anything in the world done? Everyone is extremely unique. Everyone brings their own skills to the table, and they're all part of this wonderful tapestry of life. And so I implore you, please, find your passion. Fight for what it is that you want for yourself. Don't settle for something that's less. And it'll be worth it in the end, I promise. At least that's what I tell myself each and every day. So I want to thank you for listening. We have a song that was from Jeff G. And you said it was called Already. So we are all ready today to listen to Jeff G. And Kamai's going to put it on the speakers for us. Hey, if you feel like moving, do that. Get into the groove.
In the perfect mind of the universe, I have perfect love. Perfect love. Perfect love. I have perfect love. I'm already there. In the perfect mind of the universe, I have perfect peace. Perfect I'm already there in the perfect mind of the universe. I have perfect joy, perfect joy, perfect joy. I have perfect joy. I'm already there. I'm already there.
Jeff G. Thank you, Jeff G. If you are listening, I know Jeff tunes in every once in a while. I know I've been in contact with him. He is living out of country right now, and when he comes back, we're going to snag him because I would love to meet him in person. He seems like a really nice guy, and I've listened to a lot of his music. So if you're interested in finding Jeff G, please do. His last name is spelled G-E-E. And he has a lot of wonderful music. So thank you, Jeff. Even though he's not here, he's here in our consciousness, and he'll continue to be so. We continue to be here at Unity of Tacoma, even when he's way across the world. So, all right, today we're going to do a meditation, and the meditation is similar to what we did before, the mantra meditation, but the meditation is really to focus on opening up the chakras. So a couple weeks ago, we did a meditation. So get into a position of comfort, whatever that is. If you can uncross your legs and allow yourself to feel supported and sitting upright. And as we did the meditation a couple of weeks ago, we picked a phrase that we wanted to focus on. Today we're going to do the same, but instead of the phrase you had before, you're going to focus on your passion. That thing you wrote down on that card. What is it that you would like to focus on? We're going to ignite our power today. Allow ourselves to get into a place of just wonderful joy. Feeling ourselves supported, knowing that we are safe. Oh, feels so wonderful. Bringing that thing to mind, that thing that brings you passion. Holding that as your mantra. If you would like to say a word or a phrase that means that to you, that's fine. If you would like to bring to your mind's eye something that you've done that was involved that passion, bring that to mind. And right now, just sit in that. Sit in that awareness. You're cultivating that flow within yourself. That flow that's always there, always available to you. And you just feel that. What was it like? Think of it in detail. Did you lose track of time? Were you completely engrossed in that experience? Was there enough skill and creativity involved in it to give you that next level of experience? And in the end, were you rewarded by what it was that you were doing? What a wonderful way to allow that flow to start moving through you. And as that flow starts cultivating and moving through you, bring your awareness to the crown chakra, the chakra at the top of your head, and say to yourself, I am pure being. And allow that energy of flow to go through that chakra, opening it up. Moving to your forehead or third eye chakra, I am knowingness. And allow that energy of flow to go through that chakra as well, opening that up. And the energy just expands with each time we visit a chakra, moving outside, enveloping our entire being. Moving to the throat chakra, I am expressing my truth. I am expressing my truth. So often our truth gets stifled, but this chakra is there available to you to open it up, to allow that passion to flow through you, whatever that is. And this is your truth and you speak it. Moving to the heart chakra, I radiate love. You allow this energy to flow through that chakra, opening that up. You moved from the crown chakra to the third eye chakra to the throat chakra, and now you're in the middle of your body where the heart is, and you're opening that chakra as well, allowing it to be who you are. You live the love that you would like to experience in this world. Moving to the solar plexus chakra, I am power. I am empowered. This is where your power comes from. The other chakras support in so many different ways, but your personal power for this passion comes from your chakras. Your chakra in the solar plexus is the seat of this power. The energy flows to your sacral chakra. I embrace desire. I am desire. Knowing that you are sensual beings, having an experience in this world, knowing that everything that we have and experience comes through our senses. The wonderful smells, the beautiful feeling of the wind or the drops of rain on our face. We are experiencing that through our senses. Finally, we have the root chakra. And this is where our safety is created. And when this is opened up, we are safe and secure. We are completely surrounded by the love of God and knowing that we are safe in this moment and in every moment. Now I'd like you to mentally step back and look at yourself now that there is this wonderful rainbow of chakras opened up in your body, and you see that glow, and the flow of energy is going through you from top to bottom and bottom to top, and it moves through that third chakra, the sacral chakra, the solar plexus chakra, and it allows that to be your seat of power, and know that you are powerful and you can do anything that you would like, and you use your passions to get there. Now be intentional about focusing on this empowered chakra, and sit there for just a moment as you breathe in and exhaling. With every inhale, it just circulates that flow through your body. And every exhale, you release that stagnant energy. And as you release it, it releases it back into the creative intelligence of this world, and it allows it to come back to you. And you recycle it, and it becomes beautiful and enlightened again. Inhaling and exhaling that energy. And it cycles through that power that is your center. And now, there is no way that you can stop this energy now. It is open and available to you. So allow it to be as it is, to animate your body, to allow you to move forward in your passions today and every day moving forward. You know this is your truth. This is who you truly are. With gratitude, thank it. With love, accept it. And know it is so. Take another breath and let's bring our awareness back to the space we are sitting in. The energy will stay there with us inside of our bodies. We don't have to attend to it. But we did attend to the blocks that might be inhibiting it. And you can do this anytime you feel that you might feel stuck a little. Just take a moment, take a breath, and just follow the flow. You can take another breath, and when you're ready, you can open your eyes and you can look around you and see all the wonderful, beautiful things that might have been dull a few minutes ago, but they have a little extra brightness now, a little bit more sparkle. Thank you for taking this time for meditation. Now that we've come to this portion of our service where we open our hearts to give, all donations that we receive here at Unity of Tacoma go to expand our missions and our ministries and the things that we do here and the musicians that we normally have here on Sunday. And there are so many ways that you can give. You can go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/Unity of Tacoma to give on our Facebook page. You can go to our website at unityoftacoma.org/donate to give on our website. You can donate through Zelle using our telephone number 253-576-3225, or you can mail us a check at Unity of Tacoma, P.O. Box 112289, Tacoma, Washington 98411. And as you prepare to give, as you can hold that opportunity for prosperity and abundance in your hands, allowing it to be there and to start flowing through you and as you. And as you think about it, Jesus said, give and you'll receive. You'll be given much, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. It will spill into your lap. The way you give to others is the way God will give back to you. And as you visualize holding your gift within your hands, repeat after me. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am grateful for my blessings today, and I am grateful in every way. And so it is. Amen. May the blessings of your gift bring so many blessings back to you. We're so grateful for each and every one of you out there and in here for being here and being with us at Unity of Tacoma. Did you want to come and do some announcements? Okay, come on over. Victoria is our announcement guru. We still need to come up with a title. I'm not exactly sure what that is. Yes. Thank you.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. So let's see what we've got on the docket for today. Our online book study concludes this coming Thursday, August 17th. Do I have to get closer to this one? Like that? Well, see, I'm learning. So August 17th will be our last book club, and we are studying Deepak Chopra's book, Abundance, The Inner Path to Wealth. We meet online via Zoom, 6:30 to 7:30, maybe close to 8 o'clock, because we just really get into it. So I hope you can join us. If you haven't already joined us, you can join for the very last one. Your attendance will make it even more complete. And if you need the link, you can contact Reverend Lori, and she'll get it to you. So, oh, and I just skipped that paragraph. So you would contact her at lori@unityoftacoma.org. If you are following along in the book, please finish all of the pages. If you are not able to do so, don't worry about it. It's okay to come anyhow. It's very enlightening, and we have a great time. It's a great time for growth. I mean, every time I learn something new. Reverend Lori plans on hosting a membership class for anyone who might be interested in learning more about unity. This class is required to become a voting member or to serve on the board. You don't have to attend the class to be a part of our group. We want you whether you take the class or not, but the class is really interesting. All the decades I've been involved here, I still take the class over and over, and each time I learn something new. Let Lori know if you're interested. Again, that would be at lori@unityoftacoma.org. It will be held online on Zoom 3 nights in September. So that would be on Wednesdays, September 6th, 13th, and 20th at 6:30 p.m. Oh boy. Mark your calendars for Sunday, September 10th. We will have Stephen Plummer as our guest speaker, as well as the Katie Jane Band. And that's where the day we're going to South Park for our annual picnic. Stay tuned for details. Next week, our musical guest will be David Robecki. And we hope to see you soon, and I'm about ready to start coughing, so I'm done.
Yeah, you are done. No problem. Thank you so much. All right. I'm going to end our service today with the benediction. Again, I'm going to try to say this again. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. I'm getting better. I've never have to say it. I always have to write it, but I never have to say it out loud. So it's been great practice to say Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi again and again. So anyway, the benediction is from his book, The Flow, The Psychology of Optimal Experience, and it says, "It is when we act freely, for the sake of the action itself rather than for ulterior motives, that we learn to become more than what we were. When we choose a goal and invest ourselves in it to the limits of concentration, whatever we do will be enjoyable. And once we have tasted this joy, we will redouble our efforts to taste it again. This is the way that the self grows." I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today and tuning in to this TED Talk-like service that we've had today. A little bit different without our musicians, but we do have our final song. So please stand if you will, if you can, or at home you can stand as well. And we have Jeff G coming back, and he has this song for us to sing along. So please do so.
On earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God our Creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Everyone have a wonderful